Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining and welcome to Horizons, Quest Global's high-tech thought leadership podcast, where we'll explore the rapid advancements in technology, bridging the divide between sci-fi dreams and what's possible today, particularly with the role that AI is playing in shaping our society. I'm Seth Bartlett, president of High Tech at Quest Global. With a background spanning 30 years in IT services and digital transformation at Sapient, Publicis Cognizant, and now Quest Global, I've seen firsthand how technology evolves and enriches our lives. And as a lifelong gamer, a former world-renowned magician from another lifetime, that is, and a sci-fi fanatic, I'm in a dream role here, leading a high-tech focused product engineering business, working with the companies who lead the innovation and disruption that literally moves the world and will ultimately take us to other planets. Today, I'm eager to dive into our discussion because it's never really about the technology itself, is it? It's about the change and the impact possible through the application of the advancements that are playing out literally in the front of all of our eyes. So we'll start by looking at the people behind these leaps, the small and meaningful leaps, as well as the ones from the giants that cause us to literally gasp in awe. We'll talk about what it means to be a founder in the tech industry today, the mindset needed to create groundbreaking applications, and how startups are making AI technology more accessible and impactful to everyone. Today and in future sessions, we'll speak with leaders at the cutting edge of AI-powered innovations. They'll share their experiences, the obstacles they've navigated, and how they contribute to a more inclusive technological future. So let's start with Anjani, CTO and founder of Picquora, a true trailblazer in automotive AI applications. Anjani, thanks so much for joining us today. Over to you for an introduction.
Thank you for having me on this podcast, Seth. So nice connecting with you again on this. As you mentioned, I'm the founder and CTO of Picquora. We are an AI-first company, and we specialize in launching disruptive SaaS products and e-commerce solutions for automotive. That includes dealerships, aftermarket, and direct-to-consumer markets. So every day at Picquora, we are empowering our end users and creating seamless customer experiences. Our goal is to eliminate frictions in product discovery for various verticals in the e-commerce space, and that includes primarily automotive.
Wonderful. Well, I'm an automotive fan, so I'm excited to talk a little bit about what you're doing. And tires may not be the most exciting thing for many people, but for the enthusiasts, it's a very important part and choice. And then for the rest of us, of course, it's something that we have to navigate. So I'd be very curious to hear how you're addressing that problem. Great. Thank you, Anjani. Tinku, over to you for an introduction.
Thank you, Seth. I'm Tinku Jose. I head the technology office at High Tech Vertical. I've been in the platform and product engineering all my career, so more than 20 years right now. I've been instrumental in launching a lot of products in different verticals. Looking forward for this discussion, Seth.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Tinku. So Anjani, let's start off with a question about the arc of a founder. What drives founders like yourselves to take the leap and have the courage to tackle a problem that hasn't been solved before?
That's a great question, Seth. So part of the drive really comes from empowering customers and end users, right? I am always a customer and end user myself. So it's partially what you experience. And sometimes we see some of these frictions in the experiences that we have every day. And some of them are like so obvious, right? It becomes extremely important to address them. You mentioned, tires as being something that, interests you very much. Obviously, I do not think you would be a novice user like I used to be. So, if you look at online shopping for automotive parts, right, it requires an understanding of your vehicle, including make, model, year, trim. And sometimes you have to go to the cart, identify parts. It can be daunting for users, and especially if they're not enthusiasts. So the process of discovering these auto parts, right, it's all about safety, finding the right products that fit well for the vehicle, but also for your lifestyle. So how do you remove all these frictions and then make it as simple as possible? So you just walk over to the vehicle with your camera, right? And Picquora's tech, it automatically detects all your auto parts, identifies the best fitment for you. Part of the drive really, and how do you solve problems and why do you want to solve them? It really comes from how do you change an experience that takes like 10 steps and they're all with friction and disconnected to making it far more easier. You just take a photo or you stream and then you have it covered. Change it from 10 to like 1 if possible.
It's excellent. I mean, that's simplifying a painful experience for many people,
Yes,
but
that's
helping them get the outcome they want. Okay, let's get a bit more specific about solving actual problems. But I want to first share something from a recent dinner with a senior executive who's leading the ads platform for one of the hyperscalers. When we were talking about the buzz around Gen AI at dinner, this exec shared with me that the CEO of his company keeps getting asked by CEOs of other Fortune 500 big tech companies how AI might change their strategy and what they should do with AI. And what he shared with me that really resonated is that the response back is really always, look, come back to us with 2 or 3 actual business problems that you're trying to solve, things that are impacting the progress of society or the human experience. Or Anjani, it could be, as you said, just the consumer experience, trying to buy something and get through that, that as best you can, right? So the request, right, was identify these 2 or 3 real problems and then come back to us. We can talk about how AI may play a role in enabling that strategy and the related outcomes. And I love this because, at Quest Global, we have this belief that engineering has this unique opportunity to solve the problems of today that stand in the way of tomorrow. And Anjani, you've lived this and are bringing this to life. And we have much respect for founders and leaders that take that step, having the courage to do so. So it would be great, Anjani, if you could elaborate a little bit more on your vision and the journey behind Picquora.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that, because we launched Picquora in 2019. And when we launched, AI solutions were not as prominent. And it took us some time actually convincing our users that it can be trusted, and obviously the results of our solutions, they speak for themselves. And, we were able to penetrate a pretty tough market, like automotive market. But I think on a daily basis, what we are looking is, how do you innovate? The innovation doesn't stop there. Especially with AI, we have noticed the accuracy gets better and the solutions are pretty much rapidly changing and evolving on a daily basis. Part of it starts with computing power and in terms of GPUs that actually let you do, what is possible and what you can do. And part of it is also how do you, continue to evolve the experience that you originally started. So we added generative AI to our solutions. So the service associates today in auto shops, are able to, get better information and insight around, the parts that they're able to fit and what's a good fitment. Kind of guide them through the process. We have started to doing research around meta glasses, which we actually find very interesting. And we've been exploring it both for consumers, like end users, how can I change my own tire, to a, you walk by and you kind of know what your tread depth is. Does it need changing to, hey, these are the auto parts you need like automatically without even having to take photos. To another kind of experience, where in the auto service shop, you have the auto technicians, does the leveling work well? Like, there are multitude and different areas in the process where you can further leverage it. And the best part is kind of all these, solution or all these things that I just referred to are all pretty much using AI. And we haven't necessarily thought of, hey, let's use AI, for this. We were just looking to solve a problem, and AI kind of led us there, because using some of the multimodals and some of the generative AI features that are possible, including computer vision, it's actually possible to solve these problems today.
Well, and by focusing on the problem, you then found the tech to become available. Because what's really impressive to us and we respect is you did this even before, that just amazing moment with Gen AI. I suppose it wasn't one moment. I mean, for me, it was last year around this time with NVIDIA's earnings in May of 2024 and the guidance, 2023, and the guidance that they set. But prior to that, it was ChatGPT. So you as a founder were not chasing the tech. You were applying the tech to solve the business problem. So Anjani, you mentioned the Meta glasses, and I actually have my Meta Smart glasses right here. In fact, I'm going to actually take a picture while I'm on. Yeah, so I love these. I carry them with me all the time. They're integrated into my life. I was even at this amazing architectural site in Valencia, Spain, visiting my daughter who's doing a semester at Berklee College of Music. And I looked at a building and I said, hey, Meta, what am I looking at? And it comes back and gives me the answer. And I'm just fascinated that you were able to integrate a technology like that into your solution. So I'd love to know a little bit more about how you did that.
I mean, like I said, Meta has, provided, they have done open source, for majority of their products today and solutions. It's very easy to do research when you have open source, and, you kind of innovate on top of it. You kind of, make it work for your product, your solution. So we have introduced a lot of training modules. And part of the thing, like I was mentioning earlier, our goal is to eliminate the frictions, make it far more easy for both consumers as well as the service technicians to do their job pretty effectively, right? So you kind of just walk over to your vehicle. Is there a way for the Meta glasses, if you are wearing Meta glasses, right, to actually recognize the auto parts directly? Is there a problem with your tread? Do your auto parts, do they need changing? Are you able to recognize some of it? So we are able to get pretty close to that in terms of helping the consumer understand whether their auto parts need to be changed, right? What we are still testing is exploring in auto shops, also providing training modules, as part of the auto shop processes to support. The technicians actually change pretty rapidly today. It's one of those markets where you have new technicians coming in every day. So how do you ramp up the training?
You could do the same thing with the consumer, right? I mean, you talked about, the enthusiasts are only about 10%, but there are people that get stuck having to change a tire. They don't want to, but they got to wait for an hour and a half for the company to come and the roadside service. And you could say, literally put on the smart glasses, right?
And you have a training module. Yeah,
exactly.
right there.
So I think that's fantastic. It's going to be amazing to see how that technology is going to continue to become incorporated, into our lives. So truly awesome. And I think if you could ask, if you could be looking at a series of ingredients, right, and say, hey, Meta, what can I make out of this? Or how do I make this type of a recipe or scramble, right? Why couldn't we use it for everyday problems that we face? And that's Gen AI, right? Helping us, augmenting our thinking and solving problems. It's wonderful. Thank you, Anjani, on that. Okay, let's move over to Tinku. So Tinku, how do you view the application of AI in solving everyday problems that reach the masses? And what are we seeing with Quest Global customers and the progression that they're going through here?
It's an interesting take on that. Quest Global has been actually working on AI and computer vision for the last decade, but the last couple of years was very exciting. In the earlier part, we were having a lot of projects which was bringing in the cool factor or solving some of the superficial needs. That's what we are seeing. But in the last couple of years, what we have seen is that it shifted addressing some of the basic needs of everyday life. So this is like, solving problems which 10% had or they wanted to solving problems 90% of the people need. So I would take the reference of Maslow's need hierarchy from the esteem needs to basic needs, basically. That's the shift. So this is about democratization of technology. So the moment it happens, it is great. We had NLP all along, it has been there for a while, but it required a lot of technology knowledge, technical skills to access those models and to get results out of it. With LLM getting introduced a couple of years back, what happened is that technology barrier is not needed anymore. There is no skill which is really required. You can actually interact with it in your own language, whether it's English or any other language of your choice, you can do that. That has actually made this technology accessible. And I think that is what's driving the current evolution of AI. I think that this is very interesting point. And I would like to just ask one quick question to Anjani on one specific thing. Whenever we are in the startup journey, what I have seen is that, you have products, you have solutions which MVP will be defined, and then you actually try to implement that and then move on to the next one. And at the same time, we are seeing a lot of technology advancements happening. So as a founder and as actually working on Picquora, how are you able to manage this balance between the solution requiring a specific solution requiring to realize an MVP versus the technology which is available, which is moving at breakneck speed? How are you able to manage it, Anjani?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Tinku, and I fully agree with everything that you have said in terms of the democratization that's been happening in the tech space, because it's far more accessible. I mean, with regards to how do we do it, for us, it's all about the product market fit, right? So the MVP is always what will get the end users and the customers close to what they need to do much faster, far more easily, with a better experience, right? With continuous advancements in technology that's out there, we are continuing to improve what we are able to do, and like you said, you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to invest a lot in tech or a lot of resources to do to actually change the customer experiences with AI today. There's the capability that comes within the large language models, with a lot of the framework that we already have, even with the NVIDIA processors that are available today, where it's possible for us to take what is already gone through innovation and actually take it to the next level, right? Or apply it far more effectively and easily. We continue to make advances because a lot of it is open source, and that actually makes it far more easy for us to do research on it. And it's also exciting for our AI engineers to continue to innovate and take advantage of these open source models. So it's like a continuous innovation within the group.
Yeah, the open source. I mean, I just the two examples that come to mind and just continue to inspire me and blow my mind is Zuck putting his LLMs into open source, and then Elon Musk in auto. Actually, if we take an auto example with the wiring harness, and that incredible innovation, I think that was last year. Those two examples, they for me at least, they immediately invoke that letter that Robert Hooke. I still can't believe the date. It doesn't even seem possible, but it's like 1675 or something like that. And the famous statement, "If I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants." And I love that concept, because we need both, right? We need the fast movers. We need executives who are in big roles in big companies and choose actually and have that courage to say, you know what, I see a problem, I'm going to do this thing. At risk, personal sacrifice, and you did that, Anjani. But we also need the giants,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, we do.
You just, as I said in my opening, it's like it's awe-inspiring, or it's astonishing that someone would do that, because not all companies have the same way of looking at risks.
Yeah.
Not all companies have the same way of thinking about intellectual property and even sharing of data.
Yeah.
And it's like if we think about NVIDIA. I heard this recently, that in the silicon space, if you get it wrong and your design's off, it's not like you recover the next year, 2 years, 3 years. It can be upwards of 5 or even more, 8 years to retool, right? And yet, it's been said recently that the top competitor to NVIDIA, think about this, are 2 math students from Harvard. Left. They didn't finish their degrees because they believe, and so did a venture capital firm that gave them $70 million, that they have an algorithm that can sit on a chip that can go faster with less heat. And the GPUs or the processors that you were buying in the early days, they were hard to get, they were expensive. And since then, they've only gotten faster, but it's still
harder.
Yeah,
and harder to get, yes.
So that is truly amazing. So Anjani, before we close, what advice would you give? Because a lot of this is about the arc of a founder, but then ultimately we're talking about AI and solving actual real world problems. And Tinku talked about how we relate to this at Quest Global, and our desire, as I shared, to solve the problems of today that stand in tomorrow, the small ones, right? In some cases, just the everyday ones. So would love to just hear your closing thoughts on any advice that you'd have to other founders or young aspiring entrepreneurs.
I mean, startup world is never easy, but that's not why you go into it, right? There are several tools available in the market today. You have an idea, I would say go for it. This is the time to do it. It's never a good time. So the time that you think you need to solve a problem, you need to just go for it. Now, there's, like you mentioned, there's open source products that are available. See what's possible, what's already solved, take advantage of it. There's GCP credits, usually for startups that are available. In fact, we received from Google Cloud early on when we started, take full advantage of those. Attend a bunch of meetups, share with other founders, but just keep on innovating. Do not stop. That would be my my thing.
Okay, thanks so much. That's terrific. I appreciate you in that. For me, there's a few takeaways. We're in an era where we need both the big and small players. We talked about that relative to the Elon Musk and the Zuck examples. The second one is the advancements in technology are moving rapidly, and we need that founder's mindset, such as Anjani, what you shared here today. And one of my favorite stories is the 4-minute mile and Roger Bannister. Where people just said it's impossible. Even doctors, physicians said the human body can't do this thing. And, when he did it, Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile. What happens? Later that year, 5 or 6 other people do it because the power of belief is an incredible thing. And other people are like, wait a minute, he can do it, and then they do it, right? And I would love to know the mindset of those individuals, because they probably were chasing it, but are just accepting, it can't be done. So the barrier comes down and others achieve. And I think the Bannister quote, those who achieve success are those who refuse to accept failure as an option. And founders, of course, have this resiliency. It really captures the aspiration and hunger that's required to defy the odds and accomplish those truly great feats. And I think the last thing is, we're seeing and taking innovations that, literally for decades have lived just in the visions and dreams, in sci-fi, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. And it's like in the last few years, it seems like that, or especially in the last year, as it relates to AI, it's like the experts will say things that they thought were going to take 30 years or maybe never happen are suddenly happening. And that's truly exciting, I think, to all of us. So Anjani and Tinku, thanks so much for joining, and look forward to doing another one of these Horizon sessions in the future. Have a great day.
Thanks, Seth. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.